Hi everyone, this is Steve Blay for the Poker Without Fear 2024 Update Pack. BOMBPOTs. In this video, I'm talking BOMBPOTs, and I wouldn't be surprised if you came to this video first because they are the hottest topic in poker right now. So you probably want to know what is the right strategy and should you even be playing these things? Let's talk about that. But first, if you have not ever run into a BOMBPOT, let me tell you a little bit about it. They are becoming increasingly common at card rooms. In fact, I would go so far as to say that the majority of card rooms have them at this point. A BOMBPOT usually occurs at every dealer change, so every 30 minutes. They will have one BOMBPOT, and everyone who chooses to play the BOMBPOT, and it is optional, posts a blind bet equal to 5 times the normal size of the big blind, even before getting their cards. And then there is no pre-flop wagering. We go immediately to the flop, and usually it's going to be a double board flop. So we're going to have 2 flops, 2 turns, and 2 rivers, and then each one of those boards is going to be awarded half the pot. At some card rooms, they have double board PLO BOMBPOTs, even at the hold'em tables. If you don't play PLO, I would recommend you sit those out. I can't teach you all about PLO in this video here, but in this video I am going to focus on the no limit hold'em BOMBPOTs. So if you're playing at a 1-2 table, you're going to be posting a $10 blind bet. So if there's 8 players at the table, there's already going to be $80 or 40 big blinds in the pot pre-flop, and you're immediately going to go to a double board flop and play the hand out as normal from there. So how do you play these? First of all, I just said it's optional. The dealer will ask who wants to play a BOMBPOT, and if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to play it. Generally, there's not going to be any huge stigma with not playing the BOMBPOT. Usually a couple people sit out anyway. That being said, if everybody else is playing the BOMBPOT and you're already seen as the tightest player at the table, it's going to just that much more cement your image as the tightest player at the table. So if you're the only one sitting out, that's not going to be good for you. You may want to learn how to play these things. And there's a good reason to learn how to play these things because I believe BOMBPOTs can be very profitable, and I'm going to talk about that in this video. So first of all, on the negative side, I'll admit it's a gambling game. Everybody is going to the flop with the exact same range, specifically every possible starting hand, right? So you can't outplay your opponent's pre-flop or have any kind of range advantage on the flop. And that's not good because I often say, you've probably heard me say, that a lot of hands where people lose a big pot can be traced back to a mistake they made pre-flop. But this gets rid of any pre-flop mistakes when you're playing a BOMBPOT and everybody is going to the flop with every starting hand. That being said, there are 2 big pluses of BOMBPOTs. First of all, the rake is very small relative to the size of the pot. Even at a 1-2 game or a 1-3 game, these pots can reach $300, $400, $500, and even with a max rake of $6, that's still only 1 or 2% rake on that hand, and that's great for you. Now, some card rooms have started to get smart to this, and they've actually increased the rake on BOMBPOTs specifically, so you'll have to check into that. But in general, the rake is very small relative to the typical hands you're playing just because the pots get so big, and the max rake is $6. But second, and even more important, another reason to like BOMBPOTs is I have seen with my own eyes over and over again, there are a lot of normally sane, sometimes even tight players who lose their mind on BOMBPOTs. And I don't know if it's they're eyeing all that dead money out there pre-flop, or maybe they feel somehow committed to defend that 5 big blinds they put in pre-flop. Whatever the reason is, whenever you do hit something, you're liable to get paid off in a big way in these BOMBPOTs. I mean, it's equivalent to winning the high hand or something. So, how do you play these things, and what is the optimal strategy? Well, I'm going to tell you what I know from my own personal experience and from discussing this with other poker pros whose opinion I value. And I feel very confident that the advice I'm going to give you in this video is correct, but I want to admit up front that at the moment, nobody knows the perfect strategy for bomb pots. To my knowledge, they have not been studied mathematically. There is no solver for bomb pots. So we need to go off experience and basic poker strategy, which is unequivocal and applies to all poker-like games. And especially, we want to use some known strategies that have been proven to work well in split pot games. And that's a key detail here. This is a split pot game. Each board is going to get half the pot, and that's important. So before I get into that, though, let's talk about position. Position is hugely important in regular no-limit hold'em, and it's also hugely important in bomb pots. In fact, if you're on the fence about playing a bomb pot and you're going to be in early position, you could just sit it out. Now your position in the hand is going to be determined by dumb luck because it's wherever the button happened to be when the new dealer comes in. But it is a huge advantage to be near the button or on the button in a bomb pot. Imagine on the flop, you've flopped some hand that you're kind of on the fence about, and the action before you goes bet, raise, all in. Now this happens all the time in bomb pots, right? Well, by being on the button, you just fold it and you just saved yourself some money. So don't think that just because everybody is forced to go to the flop that position doesn't matter anymore. Nobody ever thinks about position in bomb pots. I'm dumbfounded by it. Everybody just thinks it's just pure gambling and pure luck. So don't be that guy. Pay attention to your position when the new dealer shows up. Now what about the general strategy? Well, as I said before, if you've ever played any game with a split pot, that could be a double board game like this, or even just like a high-low game, you probably know the basic strategy in any split pot game is, in order to put any more money in, you want to have one of two things. Either number one, you want to have pretty good equity on both boards. So that would be like having pretty good equity to win the high and the low if you were playing a high-low game. Or number two, if there's one board that you cannot win, or it's highly unlikely you'll win, then you better have virtually the nuts on the other board. Let me say that again. Either number one, you better have pretty good equity on both boards, or number two, if there's one board which you cannot win, you better have virtually the nuts on the other board. Now that first case is a little simpler to play. If you have good equity on both boards, you're generally not upset with a lot of money going in, hopefully against multiple opponents. And you're hoping, again, remember people have completely random ranges, you have no idea if either board hit anybody, but you're hoping that you're going to at least win one of the boards, and every now and then you'll scoop both boards and win a monster pot. In that second case where you have a lock on one board and nothing else on the other board, now you have a couple options. One option would be just try to take the whole thing down right then, say on the flop. So if you were in early position, for example, you could check it and just do a massive check raise all in, just trying to snag all that dead money. And worst case scenario, you get called by somebody and they win the other board and you both end up taking your stacks back and you split all the dead money, which is fine too. Another option is you could make smallish bets. And the reason you would do that is because you really don't want to limit the field when you're only going to win half the pot. This is a really important concept in split pot games. You'd like to have 3 or 4 players put all their money in, preferably on the flop, turn, and the river really slowly, and then you're going to win half of all of it, and that's certainly more than your fair share of what you contributed to the pot, right? Because there was 4 of you all contributing that money, and you just got half of it. So you win the top board, let's say, and you let all the rest of them fight over the other board, and 1 or 2 of them are going to come away with nothing. So, what's the biggest mistake that most players are going to make in double board bomb pots? Well, that is, they are going to try to play a lot of hands that can only win one board, and they're going to play them as if they're going to win the whole pot. As an example, they flop a flush draw, let's say, on one of the boards. Now, they know enough studied enough to know that they are 4-1 against making their flush on the next card, 2-1 against making their flush by the river. So they feel the pot odds look pretty good. So they go ahead and put their money in. But of course, if they have nothing on the other board, they're really only competing for half the pot. So really, their pot odds are twice as bad as they think they are. The pot they're playing for is cut in half. Many players will make this mistake, or they will call you on the flop, say with a top pair type hand on one of the boards and nothing on the other board, just hoping their top pair will hold up. Anyway, this is great news for you, and I only bring it up to say, don't be that player. So if you keep that one rule in mind, you should do fine in bomb pots. You want to have good equity on both boards in some way or another, or a hand that's almost certain to win one of the boards if you have nothing on the other one. So if you have a draw on one board and nothing on the other, the pot odds might look really compelling, but you better be drawn to the nuts. Just think of all the ways you could lose your money drawn to a non-nutted hand. I mean, number one, you might not even make your draw. Number two, somebody can make a better hand if you're not drawn to the nuts. Number three, even if you win, if it's against one opponent, you might even not make much money off it because you're just going to get your money back and you're going to split the dead money, which is really not enough to compensate you for all the times you didn't make your draw, or you made your draw and you lost anyway. So if you do play a draw on a bomb pot, just remember that essentially only half your money that you're putting in is going towards your draw. Or another way of looking at it is you could say the pot odds are twice as bad as you think they are, and at the very least, you better be drawing to the nuts. And when you are drawing, remember, you need to keep a lot of people in the pot. If you're just heads up and you have no chance of winning the other board, that's got to be a losing way to play in the long run. And again, this is great news for you because a lot of people are going to do just that. One final comment here before I end this video. Don't forget to look at the interaction between the two boards. This is what I mean. Sometimes you've got a straight draw on the top board, let's say, and if you're paying attention, one or two of your outs are already in the other board, so you don't have as many outs as you thought you had. So let's say you had 10-9, and the top board has 8-7 on it, so you have a open-ended 8-out straight draw, except if you look, two of your jacks might be in the bottom board, so really you only have 6 outs, not 8 outs. Don't miss out on little details like that. Beyond what I taught you in this video, you're going to have to play some bomb pots and get comfortable with them. And I'm sure at some point, somebody is going to study these things more. Maybe that person will be me and is going to post some optimal strategies that came out of a solver. But for now, if you've ever played a split pot game, like a high-low game, just try to harvest your instincts from those kind of games, and that's going to keep you out of a lot of trouble. And as Mike Sexton would say, sort of, may all your cards be live, and all your bomb pots be monsters. Have fun.